I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about my ex struggles with depression. So I got an email coaching today that talks about a situation where the partner was depressed. But, you know, Margaret, I see depression causing a lot of breakups.
Oh, yes.
You
Absolutely.
know, at least several times a week,
Yep.
we have somebody that was depressed in the relationship. Sometimes it's the person I'm on the phone with. Sometimes it's the person that they broke up with them. And I just think it's so overwhelming.
Right.
Depression.
And there's some enormous percent of citizens of the United States who will suffer a depression at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Margaret, I thought it would be helpful to talk a little bit about depression up front because you have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's interesting trying to figure out depression, right? Because many people are depressed and they don't know why.
Right.
And I think that's an important thing to maybe open up with.
Well, that's one of the next sessions I'm going to do is, what do you do? All right, depression is a huge problem. Remind of the definition. You wake up every day or almost every day feeling crummy for one reason or another.
Yeah.
You might feel anxious. The worst complaint about depression is that you don't have any energy.
Yes.
Okay? And I can remember one particular place I worked where I had a women's group, and they were all depressed. That's what it was for. It was a depression group. And what they would all say is the standard response they'd get from their family is, well, if you got up and, took a shower and went out and did something, you would feel better. However, if you're really depressed, you don't have the energy.
Yep.
Okay?
And it's not that you don't want to have the energy.
No, it isn't. You just don't have it.
You just don't have it. It's exhausting.
Yep.
And, Margaret, some people have been dealing with their depression for so long, they don't even know where it comes from.
Right. That's a huge problem, and we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah.
You can be depressed for a million reasons, some of them obvious and taking place in your current life, or many, many times it's material from the past that you haven't had a chance to process.
Yep.
Okay? Or haven't thought about processing. And there are certain things that's going to make any of us depressed.
Yep.
A loss of a family member, a loved one, losing your house during the COVID routine, losing your job, all kinds of things create legitimate depression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year, on Valentine's Day, my dad passed away.
Right.
And about a week and a half later, one of my best friends passed away.
Yeah.
And I was just devastated.
Well,
and
how could you not be?
And the week before my dad passed away, my friend who passed away, his dad passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
So 3 major losses in a span of about a month.
Right.
And it sucked a lot of energy out of me.
Oh, of course it does, because, grieving takes energy.
Yeah.
And grieving is often a piece of depression. If you have losses that you've never grieved or never thought about or honored the feelings about, it will come back to you at some point in the form of depression.
And you can't escape it.
No.
Right? When you have major losses like I did, even though I talked to Margaret about it and Coach Victoria and process it and all the things that I could do, it still overwhelms you.
There, yeah.
And it just kind of, leaves you feeling like you're struggling with energy throughout the day.
To do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things is because we have, for whatever reason, become a very judgmental society, People will say, well, snap out of it.
Yeah.
If you got up and went out and did something, you'd feel better. Well, I would if I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to feel like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's.
But that's what people would hear. Family would say, well, if you just got up and did something, you'd feel better. Or snap out of it is my favorite. And even sometimes in the professional literature, you will see snap out of it.
Yep.
Okay? If you could, you would. But if you're really depressed, you can't. Those feelings are real. And the other problem is that it has been considered a weakness. Just recently, it wasn't a client, it was somebody I happened to be talking to that I've known for years, being furious at her son because he was depressed. Well, why can't he fix it? So she saw it as a weakness and had been taught in her family of origin that depression is a weakness. Okay? It's not that at all. No one chooses to be depressed. No one gets really fun secondary gain from not being able to go out of the house.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And one of the first things people often do is stop showering, which of course doesn't make anyone around them very happy at all. Okay? And sometimes it's you just can't eat, you just can't sleep, you don't have the energy to shower, and it's a really terrible position to be in.
Yeah.
All right? Now, when I started out in mental health, I think depression and anxiety are certainly the two most common issues that we hear about.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Right. Yeah, they're two sides of the same coin somehow. Yes, they go hand in hand. And many of the medications that help you for one help you with the other as well. Okay? But when I started doing the mental health business, we didn't have the antidepressants that we have now. Okay? All we had was talk therapy. Not that that wasn't helpful, but what we've learned since we have the medications is that talk therapy will help, medication will help, and if you do both of them at the same time, you'll get better faster.
Yep.
And most people, when approached about depression, say, I don't want any meds. Oh, no, I don't want to take those. And if you ask why, they tell you all the stuff they've heard about people, becoming vegetables if they take medications too long. The modern medications don't do the same thing to you, and they can help you over the hump. You don't have to take them for a long time, but it can help you over the hump. Now, at least you can get the energy to talk about what's bothering you. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Because sometimes things happen in your life that you have no control over.
No control over. No.
Losing people the way I did, I had no control over that, and both came out of nowhere. I mean, actually, I knew my friend's dad wasn't doing well because he hadn't been for a while, but losing my dad and my best friend, both were out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, even a person that's done the work and that's resilient and fairly healthy can't escape those things.
No, you can't escape those things, and they can knock you down. And I think particularly with men, we have made it difficult for them to say they're depressed. It sounds like a lot of people consider it a weakness, and it's not at all. It's a normal human emotion. All right. Now, sometimes there's a slight difference between depression and sadness. Sadness is healthier. With depression, real depression, there is often an element of beating yourself up somehow. Yep. Like, I should have been able to handle this without feeling this bad. I should be able to go on with my life by not talking about this. And that's not okay either. We all have a right to whatever feelings we have.
Yeah.
Okay? But snap out of it is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a partner that was depressed in the relationship, they would have been exhausted and in many cases didn't have the energy to give to the connection.
Yeah, to be there for you.
And in many cases, they feel guilty about that.
Absolutely.
I can't give you what you need. You deserve somebody who can give you what you need.
And how often do we hear that?
All the time.
At breakup time. I can't give you what you need and deserve.
Now, not all the time is it because of a depression.
No.
But we do hear it around depression as well.
Absolutely. The other thing that's often missed about depression is that one of the symptoms can be irritability.
Yes.
And with children especially. Well, my son isn't depressed.
Teenagers.
He gets into trouble all the time. Does he complain a lot? He complains about absolutely everything. And then I'll say, do you think your son or daughter is depressed? Oh, no. Well, yes, they are. And in kids, oftentimes it comes out in irritability, screaming, yelling, tantruming, doing some of the inexplicable things that adolescents do. And adolescents often get depressed. There's so much going on for them. It's not easy to go from adolescence to grown-up.
Plus all the hormonal changes.
All the hormonal changes. So you see a lot of depression in adolescents that's totally misdiagnosed as anxiety or something else. And it's not. It's the irritability of the depression.
And you know, Margaret, I think maybe part of that irritability is that, think about it, when are people the most irritable? When they're tired.
Yeah,
when they're tired
and when they're sad. That's absolutely
right. But think about during your day. When are you the most grumpy?
Yep.
When you're tired.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
And so because you don't have a lot of energy throughout the day because you're depressed, you're particularly irritable.
Yep.
Because you're always that close to, you know, being exhausted again.
Exactly. Right. And if you ask depressed people what's the most awful time of day, and most of them will tell you waking up in the morning, because you're going to face another day of not having the energy to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So it's not funny, and it's very, very real, and it's not a weakness.
No, it is not. And it's, you know, something to try and understand. And so we're going to talk about it more in another video.
Sometimes I think that depression reminds us that we're tired. That's number one. And that we need to rest and take better care of ourselves. It brings us a message of some sort if we can decipher it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So we have an email coaching too that we're gonna get to here, and this is from a guy in his mid-20s, and his ex-girlfriend was just a couple years older. Okay, so he said we dated for about 13 months and lived together for about 4 months. I moved out the day of the breakup, which was right about a month ago.
No, so he's still suffering the worst of it.
Sure. The biggest problem in our relationship is that she struggles from major depression and has even been hospitalized for it twice since we have been together and a few times before I met her.
Wow. Oh,
that's some
she
really...
She would have been a young woman in her late teens or early 20s.
Yeah, she's in her late 20s. Yeah. So think about it. They've only been together for a little bit over a year. She was hospitalized several times during that relationship and a few times before that relationship. Margaret, that sounds like some serious trauma.
It does to me. And I can tell you that in my experience, when I have found major depression in early adulthood, late adolescence and early adulthood, it's often an echo of trauma, especially sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, now I wouldn't conclude that every time. I would always explore. But that is the first red flag it sets up. And that's not a theory that doesn't almost always work. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, so we know that she's got a lot of issues. You don't get hospitalized 2 times in a year and had that happen before several times that he knew of, without major stuff having going on, which would impact a lot of different other things. The exhaustion all the time, maybe some flashbacks, anxiety attacks.
Absolutely.
You know, so many areas are going to be impacted when you hear something. You know, even though that was only a few sentences, that tells us a lot.
Yep.
Right? All right, let me keep going. The reason for the breakup was because my mental health took a hard hit a few weeks prior to the breakup due to her most recent hospitalization. That was very serious. And my struggles with work, and it just overwhelmed me and caused me to shut down.
You can understand.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing your partner get hospitalized.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's saying it's very serious. Now, when I hear very serious, I'm thinking, did she try and kill herself?
That's what I'm thinking, too, that she may well have been suicidal, perhaps cut herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, it overwhelmed him, and, you know, I think he feels guilty about that.
Yeah, clearly he does.
But, you know, that's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
She asked me to leave for a few days because she felt like our relationship was negative energy when she needed a positive environment. She reiterated that she didn't want to break up, but wanted me to leave for a few days. Since I had moved in with her, I felt abandoned, and everything that had bothered me that I hadn't communicated to her about came out, and I packed all my things and I told her I was done.
So he told her all sorts of things he had held inside. So wow. Okay.
Sounds like he got really emotional,
Yep.
anxious, and lashed out at her.
And she was depressed already.
Yep. We had made it through so much, and I had proved I was able to love her through her mental health, and I truly believed she was going to stay with me forever, unless I messed up, which I did, due to me not taking care of myself.
Good for him.
Well,
For saying that.
there's a lot going on in there for me, Margaret.
Yes.
Because, he believes that she would have been with him forever, which, maybe that's true, but I think that belief might also impact him, moving forward here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. We texted some since, but nothing much substance, and after Christmas I told her I would like to have a conversation in person because the way things were left and felt like our relationship had earned that. She told me that she missed me and wanted to talk at some point, but wasn't there yet. So it sounds like she did really care about him.
Yes, it does. It sounds
Right?
like they cared about each other.
Yeah.
And he stayed with her through thick and thin.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there was something very real here.
Yeah.
Now, see, what I would want to ask her is, or ask either of them, is what's her relationship like with her family of origin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. For about a week and a half, I hadn't heard anything from her, and I decided to move into a new apartment. And I noticed that she still had our pictures together on her Instagram. Until she saw I had moved into my new apartment, and then a few days later, she had taken them down. So I suspect she saw the pictures and thought, well, I guess he's moved on. He moved someplace else.
Yep.
But what is he supposed to do? He can't be homeless.
He can't put his life on hold either.
He can't not have a place to live either, So it gets tricky, I still had a few things of hers and dropped them off this past weekend while she was gone, and she texted me the next morning about it. We talked a few messages, and at the end of the conversation, I told her that I still really wanted to talk when she's ready. She replied, "Oh, okay. I didn't realize you wanted to talk. I can talk whenever our schedules allow it." She said that.
Okay. But they had sort of agreed on that already.
I guess when she saw that he had moved out, she assumed he was moving on.
Right.
That's the best I could come up with
right.
there. Yeah. I texted back the next day and said that I was free anytime outside of work, and I haven't heard anything from her yet. I haven't said anything since we split to make her think that I want to get back together, but I would like to because I love her and I believe our foundation is strong. But she is someone who builds up very strong walls. I don't know what to do because I was the one who technically ended things, but regret how it was handled and understand that it was because I needed to take care of myself and communicate better. Mm-hmm. Well, Margaret, I think that it would be very challenging for anybody to deal with a partner with the issues that she had.
And these are very serious issues, as he pointed out. Everything in my experience tells me that somewhere in here is a suicide attempt, or at least suicidal thoughts. And to his credit, it sounds like he tried very hard to understand and be there for her.
I think so too.
Yeah, and whatever his issues are, we don't know.
Yep.
Abandonment is likely one of them, because when she couldn't respond to him, he felt so abandoned.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they sound like likable people who tried hard.
Yeah. Now, he's feeling like because he technically ended the situation, he's got to be the one to repair it. Mm-hmm. And I don't disagree with that, but he already told her, "Give me a call when you're ready to get together here," right? How did he say it? He said it something along those lines. He said, "I'm free anytime outside of work." And she hasn't responded to that. As far as I know, she hasn't even texted back.
Right.
So that tells me she's not ready to talk yet.
No.
And, her mental health is in such a fragile
state, right,
that I don't think it's something that she should go near yet. And I think trying to push is only going to make her put her walls up even higher.
I would absolutely agree. Yeah, there is nothing he can do. It sounds like he tried his best, but there's nothing he can do now. He feels bad about having had an outburst at her.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and who wouldn't?
Yep.
You know, especially
Right.
when you know that they're struggling and then you feel like you make it worse.
Right.
You know? It's just that her priority is her mental health.
And it has to be.
It has to be. I know you feel bad about that and it might feel personal, but it's not personal.
And it's not your fault.
No.
No.
No, this relationship had some serious things going against it. Even a perfect partner, if there's such a thing,
Right.
would struggle to maintain a relationship with somebody that is going in and out of hospitalizations.
And it probably doesn't make any sense to him, you know, why that would be happening. But he hung in there with her, and for that I give him credit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, as far as what to do right now, let her get herself to a place
Yep.
where she can even consider a romantic relationship.
Because you don't want her to make an effort to talk with you before she's ready. It will not go well.
No. No, and she's probably exhausted.
Yeah.
And she probably feels guilty herself.
Sure.
I think she probably feels bad, like she hurt this guy.
And he said, I'm sure he said to her that he felt abandoned, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so you gotta let her get to a good place to figure out if she can do another romantic relationship with anybody. And, you know, Margaret, navigating somebody that's depressed is not easy.
It's extremely difficult because you don't know what to do. You have to ask them constantly, what would be helpful for you right now? You know, because it's hard to tell. And some of the things that you just normally think might cheer somebody up can make things worse for them. So you have to do a lot of asking. And I think she's been clear at this point, I need space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she gave him a little bit of mixed messages because she makes it seem like she wants to see him.
She said
and
she
she's
missed
available anytime, but then she doesn't respond.
Right.
So, you know, I think she probably is thinking about him and missing him and thinking maybe I can do this, but I think the bigger part is I gotta fix what's going on with me, and I agree with her.
And if she's been hospitalized, I'm sure that people have tried to set up outpatient treatment for her in between. I don't know whether she's taken advantage of that or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
And the other unknown is, I'm sorry he wasn't taking care of himself, but he didn't let us know how he wasn't taking care of himself.
No.
Whatever it is, buddy, please try it.
Yeah. You got to.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, it's a tough situation, and see what happens if she can work through some of her issues and get to a good place. Because it did sound like she genuinely cared for him.
I thought so, yeah.
So
yeah, I know he must feel very helpless.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do your best to educate yourself on depression and how to handle dating a partner that's depressed. I'm sure we've covered this in some other videos.
We have, but you know, you can never learn too much about it because a lot of it doesn't make normal logical sense. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype coaching. Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you feel that I can be helpful, please sign up.
She's got tremendous experience with depression.
Yes.
So I'm sure she'll be helpful. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to askcraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.